Robert Culp saved Bill Cosby's career in 1965. As Cosby's fame grew, that belief hardened into quiet resentment. Emmy ceremonies and press interviews only made the difference more visible, and the distance between them slowly widened even while the show stayed popular. During this same period, another story was unfolding in Culp's life. While filming an episode set during the Vietnam conflict, he cast actress France Nguyen in a key role, and the connection between them quickly moved beyond the script. Long nights of rehearsals turned into private moments, and the excitement of location filming pulled them closer together. Within a short time, they married, caught up in a rush that felt unstoppable at the moment. Culp spoke of her as a source of inspiration, and their early months together seemed full of promise. The happiness did not last. Small disagreements grew into loud arguments, and both later spoke of betrayals and broken trust. Stories circulated about jealousy and sudden fights that turned ordinary days into chaos. By the end of the decade, the marriage collapsed in a bitter divorce that left deep marks on both of them. The passion that once energized Culp's work now left him restless and guarded, and friends began to notice that he trusted fewer people as time passed. When I Spy ended, Culp stepped into a different kind of spotlight.
I'm very embarrassed.
Oh, listen. Come on now. That's what I was trying to say. You mustn't be embarrassed. You mustn't feel ill at ease. I don't want that. Please sit down.
He starred in the film Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, playing a man who encouraged honesty and freedom in relationships at a time when the country was changing fast. The story followed two couples who pushed the limits of marriage and desire, and audiences were drawn to the mix of humor and tension. The movie cost little to make, but earned far more than anyone expected, turning it into a major success. Some viewers praised its honesty, while others attacked it as a threat to traditional values. Either way, the film fixed Culp's image as a modern and daring figure, a man who seemed comfortable in a world where rules were shifting. His personal life stayed unsettled. After the breakup with Nguyen, he married again, and work and home soon became tangled together. He directed projects that included his wife in the cast while trying to rebuild his career through steady film work. Many of these movies struggled at the box office, and the pressure of constant production strained the marriage until it ended as well. The pattern repeated itself as the years passed, with short marriages and demanding schedules leaving little room for stability. Through the 1970s, he appeared in a string of films that failed to capture the excitement of his earlier success. He often played sharp and distant characters, men who lived by their own rules, and the roles began to blend together. Financial pressures pushed him to accept whatever work was available, and the gap between past fame and present reality became harder to ignore. By the end of the decade, he returned mainly to television, where steady roles kept him visible even if the sense of stardom had faded. Away from acting, he found another cause that mattered deeply to him. He joined efforts to challenge the treatment of elephants at the Los Angeles Zoo, speaking out against the conditions in which they lived and supporting a lawsuit that tried to force change. The case did not succeed, yet it showed a side of him that many people never saw, a man willing to stand firmly behind something he believed was right. Robert Culp saw something in Bill Cosby before anyone else did. Back in the mid-60s, when they started working together on I Spy, Cosby was new to acting and still rough around the edges. Culp noticed right away that Cosby was not a traditional actor. He was a comedian with natural timing and a strong presence, and if the show wanted to survive, it had to lean into that. So Culp began rewriting scripts himself, shaping scenes so Cosby could perform in a way that felt natural. At one point, the producers were close to canceling the show because Cosby's early performances felt stiff. But Culp kept adjusting the material until everything clicked. Years later, Culp spoke openly about those early days, and admitted Cosby had struggled badly at the start.
Cos and I went all the way through the same way. We never changed. He trusted me totally with regard to story.
He said Cosby carried a deep anger and acted like the world owed him success. What mattered was that Culp pushed him to show real emotion, and slowly Cosby grew into the role that made him famous. Culp believed he helped turn Cosby into a star, yet he often felt people forgot that part of the story. When award season came around, the tension quietly grew. Culp was nominated for lead actor 3 years in a row and lost every time to Cosby. He never attacked Cosby in public, but the losses stayed with him. He still said he was proud of what they built together, even as part of him struggled with being seen as a small note in someone else's success. Yet behind the scenes, their connection ran deeper than most people knew. The two men developed a strange kind of friendship that puzzled everyone around them. They joked so much that they seemed to share their own private language. Sometimes they would laugh at things no one else understood, leaving their wives staring in confusion until they finally gave up and walked away. Cosby later said, "It felt like a secret society with only 2 members. The bond grew during long days on the I Was Spy sets, where they learned to communicate without even speaking. Producers sometimes found it frustrating, but that silent understanding helped their scenes feel alive. They even created nicknames for each other. Culp became Hobie from one of his earlier roles, and Cosby became Dobbsy after a character from an old movie. When they made mistakes on set, they would break into silly dances or act out scenes from films they loved. The crew sometimes felt shut out of their little world, yet the strange closeness helped the show succeed. 3 seasons in a row earned Emmy recognition, and much of that came from the easy rhythm between the 2 leads. Still, the pressure of competition never fully disappeared. Every year, the Emmys placed them side by side in the same category, and every year Cosby walked away with the award. Culp insisted that friendship mattered more than trophies, and said everything else came second to the fact that they liked each other. Cosby admitted he felt uncomfortable after winning because he knew Culp deserved recognition too. After each ceremony, he would return to the set feeling awkward until Culp casually asked how he was doing, and the tension melted away. Culp often explained that he saw himself as the actor while Cosby was the entertainer. He kept shaping scenes to fit that balance, and the mix gave the show its sharp energy. Even so, a quiet frustration lived beneath the surface. Culp believed no other pair could have done what they did, and he credited both luck and trust for the show's success. During the original run, he kept any resentment private, letting the work speak for itself, but the feeling never completely faded. Part of that tension came from Culp's strong personality. He demanded high standards from himself and everyone around him, and not everyone could handle it. In commentaries for episodes, he wrote himself he spoke with brutal honesty about old arguments and broken relationships. His brief marriage to actress France Nguyen became one of the deepest grudges he carried. Small misunderstandings grew into lasting anger, and he never seemed to let them go. On set, he could be just as intense. He challenged producers and openly criticized directors he thought were weak. If a scene felt wrong, he said so without hesitation, even when it made people uncomfortable. His acting style felt fresh and thoughtful, full of pauses and quiet moments that drew attention. But that same intensity sometimes pushed people away. The same drive that helped him guide Cosby also created friction when he felt unappreciated. Years later, something unexpected happened. In 1994, Robert Culp and Bill Cosby reunited for a television movie called I Spy Returns. More than 20 years had passed since the original series, and their relationship had gone through both closeness and strain. Cosby had built a huge career while Culp often felt left behind. Yet when the cameras started rolling, their chemistry returned almost instantly. Critics said they still felt inseparable, two older men thrown back into a world of danger and adventure. Behind the scenes, the old feelings never fully disappeared. Culp stayed polite and focused on the work, but people around the production sensed he still believed he had never received full credit for the original show. Cosby now had influence and status in Hollywood that Culp never enjoyed. Even so, the reunion brought fresh attention to Culp and opened doors for more roles. During the 90s, his voice became familiar to a new generation when he played J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man: The Animated Series. His sharp delivery gave the character energy and presence. He made guest appearances on popular shows and returned often to Columbo, where he played clever murderers who matched wits with Peter Falk's detective. Yet big leading roles never returned, and many of his later projects were small films that failed to reach wide audiences. Outside of acting, he followed causes that mattered deeply to him. He spoke out for civil rights and marched alongside Cosby after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. Decades later, he fought for animal rights and even took legal action against the Los Angeles Zoo over the treatment of elephants. He believed strongly in those fights and never softened his views, even when people dismissed him as a fading star. His personal life stayed just as complicated. 5 marriages came and went over the years, leaving behind 5 children who grew up in the middle of his busy career. His final marriage lasted the longest and brought a daughter who stayed mostly out of the spotlight. Despite the chaos, he cared deeply for his family and often spoke with pride about his children's work. As he grew older, he looked back with mixed feelings. He admitted that his own cynicism had cost him opportunities and that he sometimes pushed people away. He had turned down major roles that might have changed his career, choices he later questioned. Still, he insisted that Hollywood never owed him anything and that he lived the life he chose.
And tonight, Hollywood is reacting to word late today of the death of actor Robert Culp. He was best known for the...
In March 2010, Robert Culp stepped outside his home near Runyon Canyon Park and collapsed. A jogger found him and called for help, but he died before noon at the age of 79. The official cause was a heart attack, though the fall that followed caused severe head injuries. The man who once raced across rooftops as a television spy was gone in a quiet moment on an ordinary day.